Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Design Recharge, and this is a rapid recharge. And my name's Diane Gibbs. I'm the host. It's every week at 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. And today is a little different because I'm not feeling well, but I really at first I thought I was just nervous, and so thought, oh well, maybe I just don't feel good because I don't want to share this, like I'm feeling uncomfortable, and and so I was like, oh, but then I actually had a meeting at 8, and walking back I didn't feel good, and then I did throw up a couple of times today. So this is not how my computer gets a virus. I guess it maybe shows my commitment to you guys and to Design Recharge that I've done it sick before, like with a fever, but not really usually throw uppy. So I feel okay right now. I don't feel too bad, but my neck and my head are killing me. So I have been, and Ashley can attest to this, is that I have been in a mode for, I'd say, a couple years of consuming only. And I won't, Jason. And consuming only meaning that I'm really curating things, or I'm talking to people, and I'm making interviews, but and I'm making work. You know, I have a really good, thriving design business. I teach school, so I'm around students and helping them find their creative edge, or, you know, helping them through a creative block or guiding them. And so that's really purposeful and helps me a lot. But so there are a couple things that for me, it's just, I get frozen. I don't know if you guys feel like this, but when there's a blank page, it's really hard for me. And so when I was in school, I remember in printmaking, I had this professor. He was amazing printmaker and an amazing watercolor. Like, he would just like whip stuff out, and it was just amazing. His name was Charles Munday, and I think it was Munday. So you could check out his work. But he did these old cars and just like super detailed. Well, he would never give us prompts, and so I always am amazed at students who can just, like, you know, go for it. Because I feel like in design we're given a topic, and I can do that. Like, that is where I I can ride that train, because it's somebody else. I am helping somebody else solve a problem. So sometimes I feel like it's hard to be out in front, you know, not when I'm teaching, because I'm teaching content, or I'm teaching an idea or something like that. But the difference is when I don't have a prompt. And so as I'm starting to play, finding subject matter that I actually want to draw or to explore is an issue. And I don't know if anybody else feels that way or not. I think having a group that you could say, or having someone that is going to be accountable to you, that's going to have a theme, is a really good idea. That you're going to work on a theme for a month or whatever. So, and Lenny says, you know, if he's left to his own devices, he totally will just drown. And I think a lot of us are like that. I think it's easier with design because we have a product that we're designing for, or a service that we're designing for. So somebody else is giving us that prompt, and we can kind of go from there, but it's that starting point. And some people don't. Some people don't need that. And I am in amazement by those people. And those people could have a course on just being able to start something. So I've been in a consuming mode, and I am afraid to play. So, hey, Carlos. So I'm going to show you some stuff that I know is ugly, but that's okay. So one of the things, I'm teaching this course this semester on design for social media. And really, I think that students, it's kind of like UX, UI. I don't know if there's a ton in design schools. doing a ton of stuff like that, but it's kind of like social media. Um, we actually need, I think, as an educator, we need to teach them what's going on, and what can help them get a job, and what can help them corner the market in something that I actually think a social media marketing person could actually be a designer if they just knew a little bit more about some stuff like that. So anyway, so go from consuming. So I'm just like, ooh, this is so good. They're so good. I'm so impressed. And I, spent 4 years. May will be my 4th year doing design recharge. And so I've just been consuming and finding these awesome people. And totally, I know I don't measure up at all, but I don't think anybody would be like, you suck. Go get, go do something else. Like, this is not for you. Like Jason Carnes here, like, I think, Jason is amazing. He did tiny little drawings. He works small scale, and just his attention to detail is great. And I remember when I talked to him, I think maybe the first time, Jason, we talked about how you said, and you have a video that even says this, that you're a craftsman, right? And I'm like, no, you're really an artist. I mean, you are a craftsman for sure, but you're also an artist. And and a designer. And I know a lot of other people who you guys totally would think is a designer, but they maybe don't think of themselves as a designer. And I think that the design community, we talked about the design community last year. That's what I was about to say. Last week with Mike. And he talked about, that there's this community of, and it's people who are pushing you forward. So I'm teaching this class about design for social media. And I asked them to list out their goals. And, okay, so I asked them to list out their goals, and I made copies of all of it so that I can keep it and kind of like hold them accountable to some of them. And actually they were, what do you want at the end of the course? And then what do you want in 6 months, in a year, 3 years, and 10 years? And a lot of them did not choose attainable goals. A lot of them didn't have measurable goals. They said maybe they were attainable, but they're not measured. So it wasn't, it's how can you attain, right? 1 million followers. Good. You can do it. You just have to have an attainable goal or a measurable goal. But some of them had, things like in 10 years, they wanted to buy a house, which is fine. But what kind of house? How much, where is this house? You need to know how much you want to spend. And it's more than you probably think to be able to do all that. And so you have to have a really good plan. So you may want $1 million, but you also have to have realistic. So maybe realistic, attainable, and measurable. All right. So when a student says, I want to be financially stable, or a designer wants to be financially stable, well, what does that look like? I need them to be very specific, because if you have this goal, you have to like break it down. Well, how do you get to that? And then how do you get to that? So how do you get to 1 million followers, right? And why? Why are you trying to achieve maybe 1 million followers? Because hopefully you're trying to build an email list more so than just followers. And also with social media, it can be a terrific place to grow. So Bob Ewing, one of my favorite people that I've interviewed, really totally grew, and he did a project that was like 500 and something days. It was almost a full 2 years. He did a lettering project, and I went back to the very first post, and there was so much growth that I could see him trying new things and doing different things. And then I saw you can go back and see his Instagram and see his growth. For me, Instagram is a great place to do this, to have that design community. I don't think people are gonna like badmouth you or make fun of you. I do think you still curate. You probably don't put everything out there, but there's 2 things I think are really good for you to use, and maybe do a daily project or a weekly project, or you do 3 times a week or something. One is you want to get better. So my students, some of them said, I want more confidence. And don't we all? I mean, that's not just something that we do just in school. It's actually all the time, and especially when we're trying new things. And I feel like with me playing, which you might think, golly, Diane, don't you play? But I don't really, because I'm like working and I'm making money and I'm helping students and I'm just really focused on that. But I've felt something missing in my life, and I really want to be I want to have that. So I'm going to show you some stuff in a second. But so one, you can share to get better. As you get better, you get confidence. It does help for people who maybe didn't go to design school and they need a critique. I would actually ask. Yeah, a monthly project might be better, Amy, for sure. For me, so here's the caveat. I could totally do a monthly project, but then I'm going to grow at a monthly rate. It would be like going to the gym once a month. And I think, honestly, to get better, I personally need to go to do the thing every day or every other day or 3 or 4 times a week. So that's my personal thing, because I was doing monthly things, and it's like going to the gym. You're not going to get in great shape because you're having to start over. And it is a muscle. I believe creativity is a muscle. So I think it has to do with where you are in life, right? Lenny's saying daily he can't do, weekly he could do. And so I can't do it when I'm teaching. Like those days that I'm teaching, I get to school about 6, and then I'm at school till almost 6 sometimes, and then I go home and I go to bed like at 9, like I'm early bird. So all right. So the other way to use the community, one, to gain confidence, but you have to put yourself out there. A lot of times people will say, oh, well, I want to gain confidence. And when I get the confidence, then I'll put myself out there. It's kind of like having kids. I think people always are like, oh, when I'm ready. And I've heard this so many times, you're never ready. Like you just need to do it, and you'll have to adjust from that. You just have to make a commitment to doing it every day. Am I delayed at all? Anyway, it's just my head maybe. So the other way I think you can use the community through Instagram is to maybe get direction. So I'm in the place where I need more direction. So I'm trying a lot of things. And so I guess that's what I am ashamed of, which I think is weird. But okay, so I also feel like I hold myself to a higher standard, and I think other people are holding me to a higher standard because I'm a designer. So my friend who I meet with every week, and we actually do collage projects or some sort of art project, printmaking projects or whatever, Ellen. We usually meet on Wednesdays, and we would have been meeting right before this, but I was sick and I had to go home. But she's at English, so she teaches English and literature, and so she's real smart, and she's a really good writer. But I know she's going to tell me, like whenever I have to do a proposal, or like when I was doing my sabbatical application, she was like, you need to keep trying, keep doing this. This is not enough. And so I love having friends like that. So the thing about the community on Instagram, you have to ask for some feedback. So ask for a critique, ask for suggestions. You could talk to people who you admire and then ask them to look at your work and give you some tips. I think that's a good idea, especially for people maybe who didn't go to design school, who need to kind of build up a little thicker skin, because it is not a thin skin game, especially when you're doing stuff with clients. And Jason says maybe a more in-depth project, bigger monthly project would be useful. Absolutely. For example, something you need to visit daily. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. And then Scotty Russell says, who's going to be on next week? I'm super excited he's just got an awesome story. Can't wait to do that. Share him with you guys. So putting calls to action. Yes. Having a call to action for yourself is essential. So he says, are great at the end of your post, trying to create engagement and recruiting feedback on Instagram. I think that's terrific. Also, so just from, I do a lot of research, and Guy Kawasaki, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but I've read a bunch of his books, and I watched something on Linda with him, and he talks about being, putting not super, super long post just to get somebody to have a little bit. And then every once in a while, I do think you could have a really long post that kind of pulled more people in. And so Costantinos, he says, be gentle on yourself. I think it can be good. It can be good to be on yourself, but sometimes it definitely causes more harm than good, for sure. So I have been in the harm and the freeze mode for years, actually. So I'm going to show you a couple things that I did. So I am doing this. I like crafty things, and I've liked crafty things for a long time. And it was something that I didn't used to share with other designers, because I guess it was another shame thing. I thought, oh, I'm crafty, but actually now I see it as a huge benefit. So I was meeting with Brian Yan, who he comes a lot to Design Recharge, and he always helps me. He's such a great friend. And anyway, so Brian had a sewing machine behind him when we were talking for lunch or something one day. Thank you, Costantinos. I appreciate it. So I said, Brian, is that your wife's or is that yours? And he's like, it's mine. And I was like, oh, cool. What do you do with your sewing machine? He's like, I fix socks or pants or whatever. And I'm like, oh, wow, you could do some other things. Like you could, and I think it's a skill that, you could translate into making something. So, okay, here's some collage. I just took pieces of things and then put them together. And I did post this. So it's a little man on these tags, because another thing I have trouble with is it's too precious if it's on something that I really don't want to mess up, and then I feel like I've wasted money. So these little tags are really cheap, and then you can get these. I got a whole big box. Okay, so here's my little man, and he's like just pieces. So this is a little sticker that was like a something, and long, and at first, and so I know he looks like he's sweaty. So again, I'm learning though, right? Like I will not use that gray color again on somebody's pits, because it looks like he's it looks like he's sweaty. So, and then at first I had it like in his crotch too, which I thought was terrible. And so I did cut that, and I added him a little tie because I thought it was pretty funny. And like that, the red thing's a piece of tape. I don't know if you can see, you probably can't really, but anyway, so one little thing. So, last November, again, I had to do something for, my husband runs the gallery at the International Festival here in Mobile. And, so we were supposed to do, folklore and stuff. And so I did this, and I know I posted this a ton. And so these were all watercolors. This is all like envelopes, all parts of an envelope. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to play. And I love envelopes. Those are things I save. Again, I don't feel like I'm making a mistake because I could build up. So I did the Loch Ness Monster. And then I did this other thing called the Me Sink, which I actually like the trees better than I do the actual thing. And this Legends of the Me Sink was like, it's kind of it's a Native American tale. But I really like the trees. Okay. So the trees are like book pages and then watercolor built on top of each other, which I really liked and I really enjoyed. But I know it's not great, but I'm working on it. And I also have this struggle, like, oh my gosh, you're spending this time doing this, but you're not digitizing this. Or how could you make this into something? And what I've decided is I'm not ready to be an illustrator for money yet. So Meredith says, where do I get ideas for subject matter? No. Oh my gosh. So all these were prompts. Like I had to have a prompt. So John, my husband, said it's International Festival, folklore legends. And then I just read through some that I thought were interesting. I mean, so it was like this protective tree or whatever. He was changed because he asked God. He was, anyway. So I made the big tree kill the pilgrim because they didn't use the deer and they just let him die. And so there's a live deer, but he's really little. Like Jason Carn, you'd be proud of me because he was so little. And again, I'm figuring out watercolor at the same time, right? And there's my dead deer and all the blood. It was probably a little gory for little kids, but oh well. So then I also think it's really important to have clients that believe in you and let you play. And I know we don't all have people like that, but one of my best friends is one of my clients, and she was my client first, and then we just became. Really? Yeah, that's a great idea, Jason. You should come with a magnifying glass. I do think it's important that we work in proportion. So my client does doggy daycare, and that's usually where Jackson is, but it's rainy today, and actually just was a blessing that I didn't take him since I got sick. So I liked the building up. So this was November. All this stuff, the legend stuff was all November. And so I needed to do a Christmas card for her. And so I did this little watercolor. This, her logo is the dog. I mean, I didn't do that, but somebody in New Orleans did. And so all these little pieces are other. So there's a couple that are sticking out like those. And then, it doesn't make sense. Like I realize his head should not be sticking out of the thing, but she still liked it. And she used it for her Christmas card. And then I made these little trees that were on the inside. And I was proud, and I like the 3 dimension of it. So I know that there are certain things that I like. So again, it's direction. It's just a couple things that I like. I'm saying, okay, I like working in 3 dimension. Oh, cool. I can't wait to see that guy. I'm going to have to go back through. So Ashley, who does all my scheduling, she was one of my students. She's really amazing photographer, great designer, and she's a great mom. I can't tell you enough. I remember when I had Dustin on the show, he asked Ashley where I found her. And I was like, don't be stealing my Ashley away. And Ashley she probably doesn't realize how much she does for me, but just she makes it a lot easier to do design recharge. And just as a friend, she pushes me, and she also inspires me to just keep going. So she told me about this book, and I know I can't read the book online because I think that's copyright infringement, but this is a great book for people who are like me. So it's Peter Reynolds, and it's called Ish. And I'm just going to show you a couple pages in there, but pretty much there's this kid, Ramon, and I'm Ramon. And he draws, and he loves to draw. And then his brother stands over him one day and laughs at him. And I think maybe that's what we're always worried about. And so Ramon, is right there. And then there's his mean brother. And there's his little sister. So, he's making his own things, and it doesn't always have to be photorealistic. I think that's another thing. As a designer, I'm always like, oh, like my friend Ellen, I said, well, I feel like it needs to look better because this is what I do for a living. And I don't know if any of y'all feel like that, but to me, that's, it's a huge part of my problem, my freeze, is that people will be judging me, I think, maybe. And maybe they're not. So then Ramon spends all this time drawing and throwing little pieces trash away. Okay. And I am totally going to ruin the story of the book. So spoiler alert. So then his little sister says, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, what do you want? And she's like, I was just watching you draw. And then he chases her back to her room because she picked up a piece of his crumpled paper, and she has this gallery of all of his work. Look at her, like totally loving. This is to me what Instagram doesn't. Totally. I just started crying the other day when I read this again. Because to me, this, it was like, oh, somebody believed in him. And I think that's what Instagram can do. I mean, I think other social media can as well, but I think Instagram's a really good platform. But it's about building that confidence. You don't have to, everything doesn't have to look beautiful. And I have to tell myself this all the time. And it doesn't have to be photorealistic. Sometimes some of the best artwork, some of the stuff that inspires me the most is not, photorealistic. So, and then she says, she points to the one that he was drawing that his brother laughed at him. And she said, this is one of my favorites. And he was like, it was supposed to be a vase of flowers. And then Ramon says, but it doesn't look like one. And then she says, well, it looks vase-ish. And so then he kind of looks at all of her little gallery of his work and said, that kind of looks ish. And I think to me that was, it's okay. You've got to give yourself, permission to play and to try. And I think showing some of that has been really hard for me. But I do think, like Scotty's saying, I feel we need validation. So this is the book Ish. I would definitely recommend it. It's going to be in the blog post that goes with this video today. So I want to show you a couple other things. Again, it's consuming. And Donald asked, I'm judging you, but why would that matter? You know what? It shouldn't matter. It totally shouldn't matter. But the problem is that this is what I do for a living, and I'm judged by what I do. If I can make enough money, or if I can, whatever. We are judged because we're trying to make a living doing this thing. And so I'm not just making art for me. I am hopefully making art to make a living. And I think it's different. So because I enjoy it so much, I want to make a living on it. So I love this magazine called Cloth, Paper, Scissors. And I had Julie Faith Ann Balzer on last year or the year before. I don't remember when. They all run together. But she's one of my favorites. Like, I read her email every day. She has a great newsletter and it's very visual. But there's stuff in here that, I'm like, no. But then there's sometimes it's just techniques and playing with something that I think, oh, you know what? I should try that. Like, I thought this was kind of neat. This is just a 3D, like I have a photo, not a photo. They made this like chair thing out of like mat board and fabric. And then they put, so it's doing 3D. And so John, my husband, does a lot of 3D stuff. Anyway, so Cloth, Paper, Scissors, another great place, maybe outside of the design world, to get some inspiration. And then this is one of my new favorites, and I hope maybe to get Janine on my show sometime. I just need to ask her. Ashley, I'll have to send you her information. But this is Uppercase Magazine. So she ends up liking a lot of the things that I like. So she had this it's a magazine. She writes a lot of the articles. She goes on location and takes these photos. But like this one was all on stamps. And I just love stamp design. I think, but it's just like she's geeking out on certain things. And I absolutely love Uppercase. So it's called Uppercase Magazine. And I think she's out of Canada. Here's another one. But it comes like maybe every other month. It's not every month. But does all kinds, like focus on different artists doing different things. She's definitely a publication designer, which I have a heart for publication design. But there's like jewelry and 3D stuff. Again, great place to consume. So, okay, again, I need to not consume so much. I need to play. So I started, I don't write that much. I wish I wrote more. I like to write. But I started making these little envelopes, okay? I have an envelope maker, and Ashley always likes this is how I pay Ashley. I send her I pay her with money, a check or whatever, but I also send her these little envelopes, and I just make them out of thick paper from like design magazines, the paper samples that we get in a design magazine. I cut them and then I make these little envelopes. So I just thought I'd show you some things that, this was I think a Martha Stewart Living magazine, like the cover. So I have these little cards, like for Little Bird, like their little thank you cards, and they didn't come with envelopes. So I was like, oh, I'm going to make my own. So, and then I'll just put like a tape that I can write on but like, I just think so it's just a neat little, so there's envelope makers. So even though I didn't make so that's what I do. Kind of, it's just tape, like big washi tape. And so I'll use Auburn stuff. So there's a Auburn magazine, right? Amy, you would probably like that one. And then this is, I've sent a bunch of these to Megan D, who totally inspires me. And this is just like cougar paper. These paper samples, like I didn't make this design, but I'm using it in a new way. And I think even that's playing. So again, envelopes. These are the kinds of things I like. I thought this was a neat paper. Again, cougar, but look, and I just love the angles, right? I think that's really neat. And then you can I have the envelope maker. You can get it like Hobby Lobby or Amazon, but I thought that was a really nice image. And so it's just you can make different sizes. So just if you're like me and you are afraid to play, this is a good little start. Make some envelopes. Because maybe you didn't know you could make envelopes. Anybody? I've been writing every day, Scotty. You would be really proud of me, I think. Not that it's all that great stuff, but I'm just writing. So Scotty challenged me and really kind of held my feet to the fire. He asked me a question the other day, which I love that he really posed this question. He said, you don't have, or something to this extent. He might not have said it exactly like this, but that my visual voice is not clear for design recharge or for me, what I want to do. And I don't, you know what? But I think right now, and it kind of like was like, oh my goodness, it's like somebody put into words what I've been feeling. And it was really good because I couldn't verbalize it. And so he told me just to spend 15 minutes in the morning writing. And so that's what I've been trying to do. And he says he's very proud of me. So I'm very glad. So, so I'm going to show you, this is an old, like a Strathmore, I think, book. I do try to finish out sketchbooks. Toned gray. I do like working on a color that's not, instead of just white. Sometimes the white bothers me just to start. And so Andre asks, let's see, do you set up any particular time to do these explorations? A day, an hour, every day? So honestly, Andre, Saturdays, I'm playing. I'm trying to do more in-depth play. And then so this semester I teach Tuesday and Thursday, and I go to work on Wednesday. And so I'm doing stuff in client work. So Monday I do some client work. And Friday, I try to wrap up any client work. I usually end up doing client work a little bit on Saturday and on Sunday also. But I've been trying for this month, I've been trying to focus on not doing design so much on Saturday. And then on night on Mondays and Fridays. And if I feel like I can draw on Tuesdays or Thursdays or whatever, I'll just take my sketchbook in there and just draw. And one thing I realized, like some of the things that I was liking or consuming was colored. And so I decided to stop drawing so much just in black and white and sharing those. And so I thought, okay, well, I want to push myself a little bit. So I did again, this is sketching out something for a project that I did, and the client did not like it. And I redrew this. It's all hand done. I redrew it so many times. I'll have to try to find the thing, but this is the original sketch. So it said, the best teachers never stop learning. And I took that little sketch and then I made a piece out of it. And the dean didn't like it. So, oh, well, whatever. So I take a lot of notes, which is fine, but I really wanted to do more sketching. And so I used to do a lot more hand type. So I kind of like big ideas. But then these are terrible, and I know they're terrible, but I'm just playing, just practicing, trying. And again, I'm trying to get something out pretty quick. So when I'm listening to something, sometimes I'll try to, or when I'm doing my research for new people, I'll try to do some design. So I really liked that guy. Like, I think I like things that aren't real, because then I feel like nobody can judge me on that, or I don't judge me on that. Again, lots of type. And so when I see too much, not enough drawing, these are old. Remember, this is an old sketchbook. So this is when I was first trying to figure out what design recharge thing I wanted to do. And I ended up with this sticker. So this was me trying to figure out what I wanted. The plug is important to me. Like Ready Kilowatt was something I grew up with. My dad worked for Georgia Power. So, and then I like the kind of gas station, gas pump, all that old kind of stuff. And then there's refueling. I tried it in a circle, you know, but again, I'm just playing, just doing different things. And again, my robots, I do love robots. And then I did a thing for, you know, a client, again, more words. And then I start making these kind of abstractions, which I actually like, again, because I don't feel like I'm not judged by them. I don't know why I drew a pickle. Just shapes. I do not like basketball, but my sister loves basketball. And I thought, oh, this maybe could be a print that I could sell. Is maybe doing something with Sweet 16, the Final Four, Elite 8 kind of thing. And then a lot of leaves, a lot of organic, but maybe something with March Madness. So these were little, I ended up making rubber stamps out of them, or linoleum cutting, you know, those. So these are more recent, just trying to go with growth, and they're not great, but I'm just trying. So again, I'm working with a waterproof ink so that I can put that watercolor pencil on top. And so you may have, like, that lady is ugly, but that's okay. But then I had one good one from the other night. Like, he's kind of funny looking. I do like people who have eyes, one big eye, one little eye. I don't know. But I did post that little guy, little robot shape. And then I started doing these, again, more growth. And so then I really like that piece right there. And Ashley said something the other day. She said, oh, you know, it really gives those marks really give dimension. And I was like, well, you know what? It's really knowing where to put it. And I did, you know, I've been using those watercolor pencils, and they're Derwent pencils, which I love. I think it's a UK company. You can get it on Amazon or whatever. But I really like them. They work better for me than other watercolor pencils. But it's really knowing where to put the marks. But it's about making something ugly in the beginning when you're learning, because you can overwork something. So this purple thing at the bottom is overworked completely, I think. Not good of where I put my thing. But I actually was okay, happy with these two things. I mean, they're not like, I love daisies, so, you know, I went with a daisy here. But it has like I used another pen that was white to give the highlights. But again, working on something that was a different color, like the tone gray or a craft paper, I think helped me. And then I'm working on doing a Valentine for that's what I'm going to give this year. So if you want a Valentine from me, send me your physical address. And it might be in a cool envelope, but it might not be, just because I'll have a bunch. But, or maybe not. Maybe not a lot of people want it, but I'm going to send it to clients and hopefully anybody that I have their address that's been on the show. So I don't have that much more to fill up for this sketchbook, but I have a little bit. I'm not going to show you all my sketchbooks, but I'm going to show you just a couple things else that I've done. So I'm doing this thing called Creative Jumpstart. And again, I worry about messing up something. So I took my premium cracker box. Thankfully, this is all I've eaten today. And of course, French paper. Brian French would be happy, I think. And so I made this little sketchbook, okay? But the part that it's neat, which I think is kind of nice, that I can make something out of a box. But the reason I did that was because I wanted to make something and not worry about it. So if I needed to throw it away, I could throw it away. But I'm okay, happy with it. So it can work either way. I like sketchbooks that are like that. So I can work it this way and open, because this is kind of like the eyes or the nose. Anyway, it's just kind of neat. And I did a lot of layering, because this Creative Jumpstart's more crafters. And they're this is kind of Basquiat-esque. So they're taking an artist every week. And I've had a ton of fun really working this. So when I had Scott Fuller on the other day, he said, you should just do this all on Design Recharge. And I just feel a little scary about that. So I made my own Instagram for C. Diane Gibbs, because my first name is not Diane. And I don't know why my parents did that. Like, my mom goes by her middle name too. Malleable Graphite. No, I haven't. Cool. Anyway, I'm trying to read as I go. Sorry, I'm going to have to go back. And maybe you hear Jackson. But I like things that are, you know, these little, and these were all rubber. That thing is a rubber stamp I'd made. That was a rubber stamp I'd made. And I just, you know, did different things. And the little coffee bean is a rubber stamp I made. And so it has a little message to myself of never give up. And again, it's not all that beautiful. But then the back is this little guy. And I was like, the others are watching. Because honestly, kind of feel like, maybe I should work on a larger scale, but I am scared. So I'm just happy to be working anything right now. But I like, this is a thing I'd done with a jelly plate. And then that's just like a tag from the cleaners. So Basquiat used a lot of crowns. And so I put crowns on my little alien guy. And then I made another one, which I don't like the back or the front or whatever. I don't like this side. Okay. But I haven't put the stuff in this one, but I like this side. Okay. And, so I passed cotton fields, not that there's any cotton right now. But you know, I kind of liked the colors and the pieces. And so this was one of the pieces I used as a promo, but again, it's being able to take and zoom in because I'm a designer. So I'm only going to use the parts that I really like. And I think that's okay. It's just about making something. And I appreciate you guys being so supportive of me. So this creative jumpstart thing. So I made this, this lady, Ray Michigan. I'll share a link in the blog post, but she kind of had a process and you followed the process and you made your own thing. And this one was one of the pieces I did. So it's actually a book page again. So I'm not worried about what I'm working in, but I did a lot of different kind of things. And I really like this one as well. Probably not great that it's on a book page, but this other lady I follow, Donaldson, I follow her, but that's not what this is. Who is that lady? Buggers. Anyway, I'll have to put her name. Anyway, so I have this book, El Camino, and it's like, it's all in Spanish. And then I guess it's for learning Spanish because in part of it, like the person wrote in it. Oops. They wrote all in it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but so I can't think of the lady's name. For some reason, it's just blanking on me. So I ended up, she uses books as her sketchbook. So I was like, oh, that's a really cool idea. So I started in this book. And so this is another kind of from that Ray Michigan piece. I kind of went from that. Again, it doesn't all look like anything. And John doesn't like the drippy parts of the paint. And I actually don't really like this part. But, you know, I'm also thinking, okay, if I wanted to add text to this, if I wanted to add a quote, I could do something in some of these areas. But again, I'm just making backgrounds right now. And then I'm going forward later. So at least it gives me something to start with. And it's starting, making a mess. Oh, and now somebody's calling me. It's probably just Google telling me I won something. I'm making little stencils. We got a laser engraver. And so I'm making stencils, which I think is pretty cool. I do like collage. So this is a print that I had made a while ago and I just put some pieces together. I tried trees in another form. I do like the trunks being book pages. So again, this is a watercolor. I actually really don't like this one all that much, but it's okay. And then my best friend, this is her Christmas present, which I haven't sent her, but she likes this verse, 2 Timothy, and I probably should have taken it out of the package. But I like the little guy. He's just kind of awkward. And I know like the shading is weird on his legs. I know like it's wrong, but at least I'm trying, you know? And it's for a friend, so it's not like, but I think he's a cute little guy. I'm glad you like drippy paint. So I had posted some stuff and I was trying to work on figures because I do think it's important. Oh yeah. And today is Jeremy Rivers' birthday. And so happy birthday, Jeremy. He's always a huge supporter. And I know, gosh, I can't believe I've gone this long. So I did this little girl because I kind of feel like that is me. a little bit, I guess, when I have shorter hair. And so then I started drawing her, or watercoloring her. And again, I haven't finished. I guess I get stuck sometimes. I don't want to mess it up, but I just need to get over myself and just mess it up, because I know that it's not, you know, you can overwork watercolor really easily. And she's holding a bird, because my company's called Little Bird Communications. So anyway, that's me sharing some of my stuff. So here's what I think you should do. You should have measurable goals. Like you want to make 4 drawings a day, or 4 drawings a week, maybe, or maybe one bigger thing, more sort of like something like this, or maybe you do something that's a practical thing that it could be just for you. Have a measurable goal, not saying that you want to have 800 clients doing illustration, but maybe you find one client to do illustration in 6 months. For me, that's a good thing. I think I could do that. If I work on it every week, 4 days a week, I think I could work on my illustration enough. So have measurable goals. I'm going to use Instagram to get better, to ask for critique, as well as get feedback on things. And hopefully people who are doing them much better than me can give me some feedback. And then also, obviously, I'm all over the place on direction. And I'm just going to keep exploring until I find things that I really like. And I know I like the watercolor, and I know I like building things up. So using that 3-dimension, I'm going to go and just really try to attack that part. And with subject matter, I'm just going, Ellen and I are working this month on growth. Thanks, Mom. So those are the things I'm working on. I want to encourage you to do the same thing. It's really scary. I actually thought the reason I felt sick was because this is what I was going to share today. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous that I threw up, but it's not. John doesn't feel good either, so I don't think he's nervous because I'm sharing this today. So I am trying. So I would love to see what you are doing. So maybe you use the tag WIPDR, or DRWIP, like design, recharge, work in progress. I just think that, you know, I'm around all these students who are doing amazing things, and I'm really encouraged and inspired by so many of them. But I know, like, one of my students is a really good illustrator. And I said, but I'm not there yet. And I think it's okay. I think it's okay to share that. I think it's okay to share that on Instagram or another platform. I think Instagram's the softest, nicest platform. It's not dribble worthy maybe yet, but I think I'm trying, Costendinos. I'm really trying. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. You can hold me accountable, because I think it's important that one thing I learned from Scott Biersack is, I learned a lot from him, but one of the things was that he made it a commitment to do a lettering project every day for a year. And he actually would do his lettering project and before he did his school projects or something. And I totally understand, Costendinos. Thank you. I appreciate the encouragement. So from Scott Biersack, he made it a commitment to do it, and he didn't want to let people down. And so that's me sharing. Ashley's been on me to push myself and to play and to spend time doing that. But it is, if you're doing time doing that, you're not making money, I guess. So what I would like to encourage you to do is have a measurable goal in 6 months, in a year, in 3 years, in 10 years, and just start. So if you guys want to do the growth with me and Ellen, so if you want to, whatever, it could be organic growth, it could be a robot growth, I don't care what it is, it could be whatever, but we're going to just pick words every month and do, Ellen and I are. So it could be growth, WIP, I don't know, we can find a tag that we would be able to search each other's. So anyway, Yes, I think Scott Biersack is amazing to me. He's has a ton of wisdom for how young he is, and I'm incredibly inspired by him. And I'm inspired by a lot of people who are just even in the chat. I'm thankful that you come and that you support this community of people. And I'm sorry I feel so sick and I don't have a charger. I left it at school, so I have 33% left. So would anybody like to say anything or come on? And I know I have crappy internet at home, so anyway, next week, I know I'll feel better. I have Scotty Russell on. He has an amazing story, and he's done a ton in a year. So I'm excited to introduce you guys to him. He has a new print out, which I could have, it's over there. I should have gotten it. All right, so let's see. I don't know what your name is, Asa919. But Amy, I really appreciate it. All right, let's bring Asa on. Or not. Oh, maybe it's my internet. Sorry. Maybe it's not able. Collaborative growth exercises. So, you know, Nick, what I've done, my friend Megan D, who I love her stuff. She does these collages and she actually sends the collage. And so her and I are maybe going to do, I've sent her a couple of starts and then she's going to add to it. I think collaborative projects are really strong. And I honestly think that would be cool to like pass something and then people have to, like, if you have a group of 5 or 6, Lenny, I think this would be a great idea for us to do in our extension of our workshop. I think that would be kind of a neat thing to do, is have a topic and then it passes from person to person in the group. That's the part of, yeah, designer tennis, or it was called a Exquisite Corpse. There's a whole like book kind of thing, and I think that's a really cool idea. Yeah, so Jason has caramel type or Carmel type. I'm not really sure how to say it exactly. But yeah, so I think collaborative projects are really good. All right. Guys, thank you. Remember next week, Scotty Russell. Thank you for listening and watching and giving me a ton of encouragement. I know that we shouldn't like bank on loves and shares and likes, but it really is really nice. And so I really appreciate it. Carlos, you're amazing. So anyway, check out Carlos's Sketch Zone podcast. He's great. Really digs into different artists and has his own kind of community. So anyway, thank you. I do feel better. Those premium crackers made a difference. These little premium crackers, the minis, they're awesome. And they make really good sketchbooks. So go have a great day. Thank you guys for being awesome. And happy birthday, Jeremy. And I hope you guys, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.